voices in the blackest night, spitting tales of emerald light. Myron and Phil with the banter tight, lantern stories taking flight. Heroes clad in emerald light, cosmic battles in the dark of night. Guardians calling from the galactic height, power rings are shining bright. Tune in for the mighty lore, legends that you can't ignore. From Mogo to Sinestro's war, the podcast of Oed gives you more.
Welcome back, Green Lantern fans. Welcome to episode number 271 of the podcast of OA. I'm your co-host, Myron Rumsey, and I am joined by my friend on the other end, Mr. Phil Bova. Phil, it's been a hot minute. How have you been?
It's been a while. Yeah. Well, busy life. We're getting ready to cut down to the end of the school year. So, we always get busy now. State testing. It's going to be a drag.
Yeah, that stuff is never fun. Never fun at all.
No.
But it's unfortunately been a while. I feel like we're making excuses, but I got to be honest with people. Just since I had my medical event last year, things have just been really difficult, and I don't have the energy. So when I have a hard time getting through the week, and just when weekends come, that's my time to recoup, and I just have not had the strength and the energy to continue. And I know it's that's partially it, and partially it's age and so on, but I can't keep up with other content creators that are out there. But I think once the fall hits and I retire, my energy levels will change because I'm still working full time, and that has just taken a lot of energy away from me trying to work full time while I'm managing the post-stroke repercussions. So, I all I can do is apologize and say, I would like to do things more frequently than we do them. And right now it's become very difficult for me to do that. But I'm going to stick with it. And I'm hoping that once things settle down after I retire, I'll have more energy and can devote more time to it. I know my intent is to do other videos besides the podcast, and maybe take some of the articles that I've written for the blog of OA and do them in video format as well as new things and post more content. That's my intent. Whether that's what I can do or not, we'll see. We'll see. I have good days and I have not good days, and that's just kind of my reality right now. Um,
But you're
and
here. That's what matters. And
I'm here.
a lot of it's not your fault. There's been a lot of times when I've had to, oh, we got to do it another night because of this. And, life happens, dude. Here we are still, though.
Yeah, we're here, and we'll continue. But I appreciate people for giving us a lot of grace and not complaining about us not doing enough content or not doing things as frequently as they would like or we would like. And we appreciate everybody who tunes in and either watches us on YouTube or downloads the episodes or streams them or whatever. I just hope it adds to your fan experience, and whether the content is made as frequently as we'd like, and we hope at least when it's here, it's of value. I gotta share something. I didn't put it in the show notes. My cousin Brian, he's like my best friend, and we've known each other our entire lives. He found this issue of Alter Ego, which was a fanzine that came out long time ago. It was a big comic book thing. And he found this Green Lantern issue that's all on Gil Kane and John Broome.
That's really cool. That's a
Uh,
keeper.
oh yeah, and it's like in mint condition. So I haven't had a chance to dig into it yet. I'm going to, but I'm hoping there's some really interesting revelations about those two characters because it doesn't seem there's a lot known about Gil Kane and John Broome. So I'm interested to see what's there. Maybe we'll do some more about it. I might end up using it as fodder for making some videos about the two of them and do a kind of a biography of sorts on each one of them. That may be something I do. Years ago, when Green Lantern hit a milestone, probably about 10 years ago or so, I think it was. I did a whole series and I went through from the Golden Age to the current time at the time and talked about the history of Green Lantern through that, which might be interesting to turn into a video series. But I also did kind of like little mini bios of different creators. And so maybe this will be something that spurs me to make something a little bit longer format.
I always thought it'd be cool to do like something on on writers, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you do a show on writers and do like a half-hour segment on one writer, a half-hour segment on another writer, you know. And it would make it really interesting if you did it like a generational thing. So
yeah, yeah.
way back when they wrote it back in the 50s, you know, as opposed to, you know, Jeremy Adams now, you know, and that'd be a really, 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 really tough, critical thinking podcast, you know. I mean, you'd have to really delve into those writers and their works, even beyond, you know, what they just did with Lantern and stuff. But that'd
Right,
be
right.
that'd be a cool project to do.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's some of the things I do once I hit retirement. I don't have to work every day, that I can spend some time making some of these longer form, more in-depth videos. That would be a lot of it'd be a lot of fun. Uh, this episode, I don't think I mentioned it yet, but we're talking about Green Lantern 33 slash 600 is going to be the main content. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about Green Lantern news. Now, there hasn't been a lot, but there's been a few things here and there. A lot of it centered around the Lanterns TV show. One of them was that Damon Lindelof recently signed, his signature was one of several hundred that were on a letter opposing the sale of Warner Brothers to Paramount, which I thought was interesting that he had the courage to do that because that's something that could be, a career risky, given to who you talk to in Hollywood. Could be a risky maneuver, but it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. I personally think Paramount is a better idea than Netflix, but that's just my opinion. There's a lot of different thoughts about it.
The whole stuff's exhausting, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, I mean, come on. Anyway, but yeah, whatever happens is well beyond anything I got to say or can do anyway, so it doesn't matter.
We're we're
Moving
we're
on.
we're just the passenger watching what's going
Right,
on.
right, exactly.
Speaking of Damon Lindelof, there was a whole bit of an online controversy not too long ago about Grant Morrison and Damon Lindelof, and a video resurfaced or comments resurfaced about Damon Lindelof making a probably a poorly crafted crack about Green being stupid, and that's why they didn't call the show Green Lanterns. And Grant Morrison picked up on it, and he thought it was kind of a boorish kind of a statement to make. And it caused headlines everywhere, of course. And then Damon Lindelof came out and said, well, that was probably a stupid thing to say. And he kind of tried to backtrack and apologize. I don't know as if he really needed to. It was pretty obvious that that wasn't a sincere comment. But the problem is, we as fans have no reason to trust anything they're going to do. So we're perhaps a little more sensitive to comments that are being made about a franchise that means a lot more to us than it means to Hollywood.
Yeah. When you
So,
burn when you burn fandom for a long time,
uh-huh.
I mean, you can understand. I mean, James Gunn's just been around for a little bit, and he's only got one movie and an animated series, and then he's got, you know, Peacemaker. But, you know, give us some time. You got to give stuff time to kind of percolate. I mean, everybody just, I mean, God, man, fandom jumps on just the smallest details, and they just go with it too.
Well,
I don't,
it's because they haven't earned our trust, right? So
right,
you're only looking for what are they saying, what are they thinking to get an idea and to gauge how are they going to treat this property. So you take that comment out of context. If you take it out of the without
mhm,
seeing the video in the context it was made in, it certainly looks pretty bad, right?
right.
And Grant Morrison, he backed up a little bit too from what he was saying, and it seems to be all good now between the two of them. Not that they were tight or anything like that. They apparently had met before and so on. But it's just indicative of the climate we're in as comic book fans because, again, there is no trust there. And there are decisions that are being made on a creative nature that a lot of us are not too excited about and says a lot to us about what they think of Green Lantern. And so you add that on it, and that's like pouring gasoline on a fire.
And it's Grant Morrison. I mean, anything that man says or does is controversial for whatever reason. And you know, and I get it to a certain degree, but it's like, man, people, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
there's worse things than a prior writer for any title whatsoever to have a commentary that doesn't align with what your way of thinking is. I mean, that was probably the case when you wrote the title you were reading. So why read it? why'd you read it? You know what I mean? So like these guys just get a lot of bad rap for no good reason. I understand there's inflammatory stuff, but some of it's so juvenile that it's like, man, people just cling to the smallest little hinge of something and it gets all bent sideways and that's it. And it's hard
Yeah.
to come back from it, you know. How do you come back from stuff?
And unfortunately, it's the way that the rest of the world is about everything. So it's
Yeah,
no surprise, right?
right.
And the other thing that happened recently is somebody bumped into Kyle Chandler at a baseball game, and I guess they had a conversation. And Kyle Chandler commented that the uniform we saw hanging in that teaser trailer is indeed like the one that he wears in the show, and that he does wear a mask at some points of the show.
Right.
So, um,
He's gonna fly in and reignite the sun. That's my that's my theory. That's my call. I'm
that's your
calling it.
call.
Yeah, here it comes.
So make of that what you will, whether you like the uniform or not. That might color some of your opinion even more one way or the other. But we'll see. And the other thing to talk about is not so much Green Lantern news, but news amongst the Green Lantern creative community. You know, there's a number of podcasts besides our own and other YouTube channels that are out there. And every year we usually team up and do something. We usually do it in June, so we call it GL June. And every year we pick a different storyline. This year, the content is going to be the Mark Wade, Mark Prayer, or Tom, excuse me, Tom Payer miniseries, Green Lantern, Flash, Brave and the Bold. And so throughout the month of June, every week there's going to be a different piece of content created by one of the content creators talking about each one of these issues. And you and I, my friend, are taking on the last issue in the story.
Hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to that. This was a pretty neat book. This was back in the day when before Barry and Hal had come back. So it's kind of neat because you're reading it from that perspective that these characters are not current in DC continuity at the time that these stories were written. So it's looked at through a very nostalgic lens at these two characters and their friendship. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what other people have to say about the issues leading up to the conclusion, but we get to do hit cleanup on it. So I'm really excited about that and looking forward to it. That'll be an episode we have near the end of June.
Pretty cool.
So
I like getting together with those guys too, man.
yeah,
We need to do a round table sometime. We need to do at least twice a year or something, more
yeah.
frequent.
We used to do the Lantern Cast. Used to have a kind of the State of the Green Union, Green Lantern Union kind of a thing, but we didn't do it last year for whatever reason. So we'll have to try to do something. And then there's more content creators now with the show out there coming up soon. You've got the Green Lanterns podcast. They weren't around that long ago. And then there's Lanterns Live. That's fairly new. And so you've got a few newer people that are in thrown into the mix. So it'll be interesting because you're going to get different perspectives about these issues and these stories, which I think is great. And it's a way for us to cross promote. I like to say there's a lot of different perspectives about Green Lantern as there is any of these comic book properties. And regardless of whose voice you like to listen to, there's somebody out there for everybody. And you can partake of all of the content, or you pick and choose who you like to listen to. Whose sensibilities align with your own. But I think it's great. It's a great opportunity to promote everybody. Uh, it's an all. You would think there might be a sense of competition amongst us, but I don't. I don't believe that to be true. It's very much a brotherhood in that we all come at it from different perspectives. We don't all agree about everything, and that's natural. But we
Do
all love Green Lantern.
do podcasts? I guess like I don't know. I don't know how podcasts rate on the tier of what media is. So like, forgive me when I say like, there's like really hot content creators on a podcast. I mean, is there like a rival? Is there like a rivalry at that stage, you think?
I think there could be. I don't think any of us are that hot, right?
Just wondering. I didn't know how the podcast world worked. I mean, outside of you and I doing it for the last decade now, but like, I mean, there's a couple I listen to here and there, but I'm unfamiliar with the territory, so I don't know where
Yeah.
the barometer is on on podcasting. So,
I don't think there's really a sense of rivalry amongst different shows. Not that I've ever heard of. Not that I have my finger on the pulse of the podcast universe to say that. But Um, I think everybody just kind of does their own thing and tries to attract as big of an audience as they can and goes from there. I think the big hits are always the celebrity run podcasts, right? That celebrities have gotten in on the podcast community and they draw big numbers because they're famous. I
I think
don't think for any of the Green Lantern content creators, any of us are drawing huge numbers.
I think we need to start charging like 10.99 each each download or something. I don't know.
There used to be, there was a podcast, I can't remember just now which one it was. It was free, and then they decided to go to a pay per episode model, and everybody revolted against it.
Yeah, you think? I mean,
Yeah.
duh. You know, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I would never care to make any money off of anybody who listens to this. And I'm going to tell you,
No.
because I would never pay to listen to somebody else talk. I mean, it's just, I mean, podcasts are podcasts, and I'm sure everybody has their own niche and thing that they like to listen to. But like at the end of the day, man, it's like, no, we do this because it's a good time, and it gives us a time to hang out, you
And
know?
there are some people that go to Patreon. They do the Patreon thing where you pay a monthly fee and usually you get extra content. And it's usually to help pay for producing video content or podcast content or other kinds of online media content. And to me, that's the same thing.
Mm,
So you won't see this show or website or video channel doing a Patreon anytime soon because I wouldn't ask anybody to pay for the content. If I don't enjoy it, then I won't do it.
right.
And I'm not going to charge somebody for the luxury of watching my content or begging them for money or asking them to give me money to fund this. If I was producing high quality video content where, then there are some I'm really big into board games and there are some board game content providers who do long form videos with high production values and B-roll footage and animation and that kind of stuff and they do a Patreon
Probably
and
have sponsors from a lot of those board game creators and stuff.
yeah, they get free games to try out because it's become a whole circular thing where if you want the traffic, you need to get the games ahead before the games come out,
Mm,
and they want to use you to promote their games, especially if they're going to go to like a game founder or a Kickstarter.
mhm.
So you get the whole is the content honest? Like I think everybody in the Green Lantern space would love it if Warner Brothers came to us and said, "Hey, we've got this Lanterns TV show coming out. We'd like to give you access to it." But the counter part of that is if they did that, could you trust the content to be accurate? I mean, could you trust to be honest?
Well, and I think another part of that problem would be could, and I'm not, well, I'm going to say this to be mean because they're a company just like anybody else, but they got a glass chin, right? So anything critical we say, you know, next thing you know, they're pulling everything, they're pulling out. You next thing you
Hmm.
know, all you hear is crickets, right? And that's cool if that's your direction and that's what you want to do because somebody cast a critical eye on you. Why is it that you don't engage in the conversation to glean what it is about it that the content creator doesn't like, as opposed to what your vision is, right? And I'll tell you why. Because they already made the crap and they don't want to hear what you have to say.
Right. They want you to polish that turd to help
Right.
sell it.
Right.
Um,
Right.
that's the reality. And I see that in the board game space. There's a lot of people who don't do the Patreon stuff and don't do the sponsored content stuff. And they're very critical of those that do because they're like, well, you can't trust what they're saying because it becomes a double-edged sword. You want the access, you want the perks of being this channel that gets the games and gets the promo stuff and so on. But then if you say anything negative or critical, those opportunities are going to dwindle. So now you start compromising your own integrity to keep that gravy train coming. And I just, what I love it if Warner Brothers or something recognized some of the work we did, sure, but I don't want to be their mouthpiece. I refuse to be somebody's mouthpiece.
Mhm.
I'd have to
Yeah.
compromise my integrity, and I
Yeah.
I like to tell people, my parents didn't have a lot of money. The only thing they left me when they passed away was the name, and I'm not about to tarnish it.
Well,
I
yeah, because you don't want to be a puppet for some company just because you want them, they want you to adhere to their, design,
right.
protocol, uh, point they're trying to make, direction. I get it. And I would never yield to somebody like that either. I was just
Yeah.
curious. I mean, I'd be surprised if a company like that would even contact you. Oh,
The
right.
only time we've had that happen was with the Manly bands
Mhm.
that we did a little thing with them. And
Yeah.
as you recall, we didn't just say, "Yeah, we'll do it. Send us free rings." We said, "No, we want to talk to you about the company and we want to find out more because if we're going to put our name on it, and Lantern Cast was the same way. If we're going to put our names on it and we're going to talk about your product, we want to feel like we entrust the product, that it's not a fly by night outfit. We don't want our names associated with that. It's a company that's on the up and up." And we met with them. We got to talk to the creators of some of the designers of some of the rings and some other people, and we both left it with very good feelings. And they gave us discount codes so that we could, because those were expensive rings. They gave us discount codes that we could offer people, which was great. And we wanted to know the quality, and they offered to give us rings without us asking about it, which again was very nice. But it gave us the perspective to be able to talk about a product because I wasn't about to talk about a product if I didn't have experience with it. It's the only time in our 15-year history that we've ever done something like that. So, um, but yeah, I don't see ever doing those other kinds of things. Again, yeah, would it be nice to have access? Sure, but I'm not going to be. One of the things about Manly Bands was we didn't have to show them the content before we published it.
Yeah. Still a banger ring too, because I wear mine all the time.
Yeah, same here, same here. But anyway, let's take a quick break and let's come back and let's talk about Green Lantern 33/600. We'll be right back.
In brightest day or blackest night, there's only one place to listen to the best in Green Lantern. That's the podcast of Oa.
All right, welcome back, Green Lantern fans. We're going to talk about issue number 33 of Green Lantern, which serves as the legacy numbered issue 600. This particular issue is an oversized anniversary issue. It's got four different stories in it, three of them written by Jeremy Adams, one written by Ron Mars, with art across these four stories. One of them is illustrated by Zermanico, one by V. Ken Marion, one by Dan Jurgens, which was exciting to see his name tied to a comic. And joining Ron Mars is Daryl Banks. So I don't know if we want to talk about this issue as a whole, or do we want to break it down each story? Do we want to talk about each story first, and then we can sum it all up? I think that might be the best thing. What do you think?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do the
Okay.
Kyle Rayner origin story.
Yep. So, well, the first thing was there was a story called "I Love L.A." where Kyle goes back to Los Angeles. He and Odyssey, and he's kind of establishing himself. And there's kind of a neat little story about AI art. It was interesting where it seemed like Jeremy Adams was making a statement about what AI and used in industry. Some commentary about that, which echoes a lot of what a lot of people think. And I thought that was interesting. I felt like, and I'm not a huge Kyle Rayner fan, believe me,
Mhm.
but I almost felt like it was a step back for Kyle as a character. Like suddenly it was the 90s again.
And hanging out with Odyssey in the 90s, which obviously fits in for a tire, right? I mean,
Yeah.
totally.
But I mean, in terms of his character progression, I felt like the character had progressed, but we kind of reset back to the 90s again.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me projecting. I don't know. That's what I felt like. It reminded me of why I don't particularly care for Kyle as a character, but I know there are people that probably love this story, but it didn't resonate for me. Um, the dynamic between him and Odyssey, I think, was fun when Connor was involved. I'm not sure how I feel about her hanging around for the long term, which it seems, at least this is what the story implies, is that she's going to be around for a while. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Um,
You know, we're a part of the team.
yeah, I see her becoming the romantic interest.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And there are going to be people that are going to be clamoring for the fact that Kyle is back on Earth, connecting back with Jade and, connecting with his previous romantic interests that he had. So we'll see what happens with that, but I thought it was interesting that that was the lead in story, but it became like it was just a regular issue from my perspective there.
I think it was funny how people dog on Hal Jordan for being a womanizer and stuff like that, and Kyle Rayner ain't no angel. Mm.
Oh yeah, especially when you well, there was a period of time where they tried to make Hal look like he was some womanizer type character, but really when you look back over the history of that character, he's only had a few relationships. And the other times he didn't have those kind of relationships and he had those one night stand kind of things is when that became the joke. It became a punchline.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Moving on.
moving on, exactly. Then it goes into the origin of Kyle Rayner, with Adams rewriting the history of that a little bit with V. Ken Marion do the artwork. Um, I thought it
I
was kind
don't
of
know.
interesting that little Stanley cameo in the beginning.
I don't know why this was in there though. I was
Yeah,
reading it and I was like, and it's cool. And I'm not trying to diss anybody. I'm not trying to diss Jeremy Adams or anything like that. But I guess my after reading it, I was like, I don't understand what its purpose was. I mean, if you're trying to attract Kyle Rayner people, then can't you do reflection points for that or retcons? I mean, there's things and
yeah,
ways to do that, but I didn't know why we needed an inserted oversized issue to have a Kyle Rayner origin story. That's the first thing I thought of with this
yeah.
issue. The first and only thing I thought of.
It's always like they look at issues like this is going to be somebody's jumping on point, and they need to have an origin story or something. But I thought it was interesting how they kind of how how Jeremy Adams kind of changed the dynamic between Kyle and Alex, and that how he was supposedly not as good of a boyfriend, and he only went to the bar because he was trying to get back with her and was trying to show her that he could do things that were fun and interesting, and that he was so addicted to doing art that he kind of neglected her. Uh, they also glossed over the refrigerator thing. Did you notice that?
Of course they have to, right? I mean, they
Once they got to the part where he gets the ring, it was like fast forward, and it kind of ignored all of that. And something that would have been was such a defining moment for Kyle is just glazed over, which I thought was kind of odd.
it's also one scene that's become like the running joke throughout the whole Green Lantern world. I mean,
Yeah.
if you know the refrigerator incident, you know Green Lantern.
And I understand why they would not want to talk about it a whole lot, but it just seemed like he's talking to Odyssey and he's trying to tell her his life story essentially. That's the framing mechanism. And this whole major part is completely glazed over, which maybe let's play devil's advocate. Maybe that's something that Kyle's not comfortable talking to someone about that he doesn't know that well yet.
Well, you're going to give the benefit of the doubt, and I'll say pretending it doesn't exist doesn't mean it didn't.
Um, is he saying things to try to impress her? I don't know. But I did think the AI thing was a little heavy-handed, but whatever. It's interesting to see Wally show up,
Hmm.
but that was kind of it. And then we get to the Hal Jordan story. We get a little bit of Hal and Jaina and that kind of stuff. I don't know what I think about this story yet. I guess once we see it flesh out a little bit more and we see where it's going, it'll be more interesting. But it was kind of shoved in there like, oh yeah, don't forget this is going on too. Um,
Yeah. I mean, she's the only exciting thing I saw about this whole issue. Though I want her brother. I want them both together again. And I do like how she's drawn, top to
yeah,
bottom.
yeah, I thought she was drawn well. The spaceship that they drew that was drawn here reminded me a little bit of do you remember the superpowers figures from back in the
Hmm.
day?
Hmm.
It reminded me a little bit of the Superman action vehicle that they came out with back then. It
Oh yeah,
reminded me
I
of that a little
guess you're
bit.
right.
Yeah, just a little bit. I thought it was interesting. It looked like it was definitely a flashback to something. Not that that's bad. Um, but again, it was such an odd thing. And then we see the whole thing with Krona, and Krona is the framing mechanism to give us Hal's origin. And again, I don't know what the point of it was.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
we this story's been told a number of times. The one thing that all I'll say is the one thing that I get a little rubbed raw about is the whole uh, Hal has this dumb luck kind of thing. I'm so tired of that whole thing of the he just gets lucky. To me the whole rapid cognition is a much better way to look at how Hal does what he does. It may look like luck, it may look like him being risky, but it's also the test pilot in him that can make those split second decisions and make a plan that maybe fly by the seat of your pants because it's a plan that's thrown together in a split second. But this, he says he's either survived by sheer will or dumb luck. Um, to me, it just undermines the character a little in my mind.
It does. It's a good punch.
Yeah, it just I don't know what. And then you get the story at the end that's a Kyle Rayner story again, and it's one that is a callback. Like this is a Kyle Rayner story that takes place a while ago. It takes place back in the 90s again. This has got Kyle in his original suit. He shows up. So it's got to be after, it's not the 90s. It's got to be after the Green Lantern Corps came back in the early 2000s, but he's got his old uniform back on again.
Right, it does. Yeah.
So it's just an odd thing. And I guess that's the way I look at this entire book. This, how do I say this without sounding rude?
Well, what was the purpose of an oversized issue though? Like I
Yeah,
didn't see so we don't it kind of seems like everything that's taken place before this came to the maybe comes to this issue, but where's your branching off point? Right? I don't see
yeah.
anything that ties into what happened before this. You know, maybe a couple things, maybe the Corona thing. I mean, there may be a couple threads, but I guess it depends on where they're going after this.
It used to be that when you did these big anniversary issues, you would have something that talked about and honored the legacy of the book, the characters, right? And that doesn't really happen here. You basically just get a Hal story pigeoned in between three Kyle stories,
And then
and that doesn't really embrace the legacy of the Green Lantern character in 600 issues at all, in my mind. I mean, I would rather have seen something that honored all of the Green Lanterns rather than just Hal and Kyle. And
well,
really,
yeah,
Kyle, Kyle was the focus. And
where's the guy? I mean, it could have been a John.
sure,
I mean, you could have incorporated a lot of the core,
yes,
and you want to call it your 600 issue. I mean, how many core members are there? And we've seen how many in here, one of which was Kyle Rayner, and maybe a few others. Oh, a
right.
hologram Jess.
Yeah, you get a tiny little glimpse of Jess. Yeah, it just seemed awkward. To me, it seemed like the 600 thing was just a coincidental thing for marketing, and it was just another issue with throwing a couple origins in as page fillers to fill up the rest of the issue. It wasn't at all what I hoped we would get out of it, and maybe that's the problem is that I walked into it with expectations that this was going to be a celebration of Green Lantern, and I just felt like it was a regular issue with bloat added to it. And
Agreed.
um, again, I'm not the world's greatest Kyle Rayner fan. That's for sure. But Kyle Rayner's not the character that got you to 600 issues. Yeah, he was the main character for 10 years. Um, but he's not worth 75% of an issue 600. He's just not. And I know that some people won't appreciate hearing that, but that's reality.
But that's why we're here to see what we want to say, right? I mean,
Right, right.
I mean, people don't have to agree with it. I mean, just the other person listening to us, oh, well, I really liked it. That's cool. I mean,
good for you.
I mean,
I
there's stuff that I probably like that I guarantee you other people won't like. I mean, it's
sure.
just the world.
But if you're going to do a 600th issue of Green Lantern and make a big deal about making it issue 600, I would have expected there to be a little bit more celebratory stuff
Hmm.
than filler.
Agreed.
But anyway, we've got Green Lantern feedback from you folks from our last episode where you and I talked about that teaser trailer for Lanterns, and all of the feedback was about that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, it's important to this fandom to talk about this stuff. So let's take a break, come back, and hear what you guys had to say about all of it.
Listen up, all you white circles. This is Drill Instructor Kilowog, and you're listening to the podcast of Oa. And don't you forget it, boozers.
Our first message is from Jedi Detective 5586, who has a clarification about Green Lantern Chip. Transmitting in 3, 2, 1.
Chipmunks are a subset of squirrels.
Hey, Jedi Detective, thanks for reaching out. Yes, you are correct. Chipmunks are indeed a subset of squirrels. But the reason why I bring it up is that the creator of Chip is big to point out because he doesn't like the fact that they refer to Chip as a squirrel. So that's why I kind of went down that road, regardless. But yeah, Chip is technically a squirrel.
Oh, Chip.
All squirrels are not chipmunks, but all chipmunks are squirrels.
And there it is.
There it is.
We don't have Chip here to, for him to say what he would, or for him to say what he would say.
Thinking back about that comment we had earlier in the show about that Kyle Chandler sighting, they asked that person apparently asked Kyle Chandler if other Green Lanterns were going to be in the show, and he said, "I can't tell you that, but you did hear the comment about the squirrel, right?" So implying that we're going to see Chip or more about that kind of stuff in the show. But anyway, thanks for the comment. Go ahead, Power Ring. Why don't you give us the next one?
The next message is from Dr. Horner 92 with some comments about the Lanterns teaser trailer. Transmitting in 3, 2, 1.
Sorry about the unfortunate news, Myron. Happy to hear you're on the mend. I wish the trailer was better. Kinda a letdown for me personally. I feel like it's a horrible time to be a Hal Jordan fan, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a brand more shy of their poster boy than Green Lantern. I think one of Green Lantern's great unique qualities is the plethora of characters and how they can coexist nicely. I'm not sure why DC feels the need to embarrass or simply replace Hal every chance they get. Seeing him hand the reins to Kyle in the comic universe and to John in the cinematic universe really sucks. Let's hope they at least give Hal his own side run, or another Hal Ollie run.
Dr. Horner, thanks for reaching out. Appreciate your comments and your feedback as always. Yeah, I don't want to beat the dead horse any more than we already are, but yeah, it does seem like it's a hard time to be a Hal Jordan fan these days, just because they're trying to push him. At least it feels like they're trying to push him to the back, which is unfortunate. You'd think that DC and Warner Brothers would have learned by now that, like it or not, he is the poster boy around the world for Green Lantern. In fact, when you talk to people in other countries, they're the only one he knows. That they know. He's the only one that they know. But whatever. And I don't know why they feel the need to make this into Highlander and there only has to be one. Why we can't just embrace the history of things. But been there, done that. We'll see what happens.
There always has to be one,
Right. They're going to be only one,
Mm.
And unless you do the female version, then you can have two. Like you can have Superman and Supergirl.
I think they missed a pretty good opportunity if they would have tried to get Glenn Powell.
Oh, huge opportunity.
I just think the dude looks.
Aaron Pierre and Glenn Powell together.
I mean, I've seen a lot of iterations of Hal Jordan, as have you over the years, and it doesn't matter which one you look at, the dude still looks like every single iteration of Hal Jordan.
Yeah,
just the way. But I don't know. What do I know, man? I'm not a Hollywood juggernaut.
yeah.
So.
I would rather have seen a John Stewart Green Lantern, Hal Jordan Green Lantern team up with those two actors in their primes on the big screen. I'll always wonder what was the script that Jeff Johns was working on for the Green Lantern Corps movie. I would love to have read a draft of that because he was working on when he had his Mad Ghost Productions company. he was doing a script for a Green Lantern Corps film that was going to be Hal and John and Guy and Kyle all together. Would have loved to have seen it. I think Kyle was involved. I might be wrong there, but I know it was at least Hal, John, and Guy. I would love to have read that script. That would have been big, but we'll see.
And we'll never know.
We'll never know, unfortunately, sadly. Power Ring, why don't you give us the next message?
The next message is from 3Rick527, who also has some comments about the Lanterns teaser trailer. Transmitting in 3, 2, 1.
So glad to have you guys back. A couple things about the trailer you guys talked about that I want to help clear up. Phil, you're definitely right. Hal was flying with the ring on the wrong finger. However, if you saw the version trailer they posted on Instagram and Threads, the shot was flipped, and Hal was flying the other direction with the ring on the right finger. So my guess is that's the actual shot that will be in the show. And I agree, I don't think the Lanterns are technically undercover, because we see Hal just straight up take off in the air, in front of people. Not that they would probably know who he is anyway. But as for that interrogation scene, that actor he's throwing around the interrogation room is playing an alien character, obviously in disguise, and I don't think Hal has ever tried to hide his identity from other aliens before. So technically, he could still have a secret identity, but I don't think he needs that in this universe, and honestly, I don't think he needs to have one in the comics anymore either.
All right, 3Rick. Yeah, I didn't think about the mirrored video. I didn't think about that when I was looking at it. But I will say, all the same with that flying shot, it looks weird. I don't like it. I don't like the way he flies up at the end. It looks like something you'd see off CW.
The one thing I noticed about when he takes off is it almost like he wavered or wobbled a little bit, like the flying rig jostled a little bit when he was starting to take off. But it was a good catch on the ring flip thing, because that did concern me when I went back and looked at it. I thought, oh my gosh, you're right, 'cause I didn't catch that. And then you pointed it out, and I went back and I go, you're right, it's on the wrong hand, which would be the first time that they've done in the comics and whatever have things on the wrong hand or what have you. But no, it's good to know that image was flipped. That's really good to know.
He talks about the undercover thing. I mean, it might be an undercover thing that they're undercover for the Corps, maybe. Not necessarily undercover what we might think is undercover. I don't know. I mean, I'm just don't want to.
Right. It's the whole argument when people were complaining about this trailer and that they didn't see any Green Lantern in it, really. That the comment that was made by the apologists was, well, they're undercover. So, they don't want anybody to know who they are. And so then the pushback again from the other side of the argument is, well, if that's the case, then why is he flying in front of everybody?
Right.
So that's kind of what led to that whole dialogue about those kind of things. And yeah, I can get in the interrogation room. He's talking to someone that's supposedly an alien character that's in disguise. I don't know. The only word that comes to my mind is lame. But whatever.
Well, and you're not hearing anything about it. It's all crickets, right?
Yeah. Well, right now everybody's talking about trying to get Supergirl so that it isn't a bomb.
I don't know how it can be, man. Those two together with Lobo in there, I think it's going to be pretty comical. But
we'll see. It depends. It depends on what you hear, right? Because you hear that it tested great, and then the next day you hear, well, it didn't test well at all, and it's going to be what it's going to be.
I don't care. I'm looking forward to Mo 2. That's all I care about, Mo 2. Give me some He-Man. I want some of that. All right. Thanks, 3Rick.
Yep. Power Ring, why don't you give us the next one?
We have more about the Lanterns teaser trailer, this time from Cloned Avenger. Transmitting in 3, 2, 1.
Myron cooked. I agree with his Lanterns trailer assessment. We have been waiting for years for a great live-action take on Green Lantern, and it looks like we will keep on having to wait. Unless this whole teaser is a swerve, but I don't think it is. I know Myron has already said he isn't watching it, but I will give it a shot. But my expectations are on the floor. I have said before, I would have loved to see the Jeff Johns movie/series realized. I definitely think we would have gotten a younger Hal that way, in the least, haha. Also, sorry about your brother-in-law, as well as you getting sick. Also, I would have definitely been down for a 2.5 hour episode.
Cloned Avenger, thanks for writing in and contacting us. Thank you for the comment and saying that I cooked. I did spend a lot of time prepping for that last episode because I felt like it was really important. And so I rewatched things. I kind of researched stuff, which is stuff that I like to do before presenting my own opinions, trying to prevent some other stuff that goes along with it. So I appreciate that you noticed that I put a little extra energy into it. And I agree with you 100%. We've been waiting for years for a really great live action take on Green Lantern, and this doesn't really look like it. And I guess, maybe this means a lot more to me because I'm getting up there in age. But I'm like, this might be the last chance I get while I'm still alive to see a good version of Green Lantern on the screen, either large or small. And this isn't it. And so maybe that drives my passion for the dislike of what I've seen so far. But yeah, kudos for you for giving it a shot. I don't want to give them any money. I certainly don't want to give them any views that makes it look like the show's a hit. And I realize I'm only one person, but some other people are doing the same thing, and we'll see. But like you said, we talked about it a little bit ago. I would love to know what Jeff Johns was going to do with those characters and how he was going to frame it. To me,
Mhm.
that would have been the best of all worlds. But and thank you for the well wishes about my brother-in-law. And that you would have been down for a 2.5 hour episode. And since we're talking about that little bit of it, I need to let people know that the content that we recorded, I didn't publish it because I didn't feel it was timely anymore. We talked about those episodes, the issues leading up to 600, and we recorded it back in February. And I sat back and looked at it and I was like, this is going to take a lot to edit this and rip it all apart again. By the time I get it out there, it's not going to be relevant anymore. So let's just skip it and move on. So that's what I decided to do. But nice to know that people would be willing to sit through a 2.5 hour episode of us talking about Green Lantern. Maybe that'll happen still. Who knows?
It's a long time,
No,
gotta
you're
admit.
you're you're right. You're right.
I am flattered. I mean, if you
Very
fall
much, very much
asleep
so.
to me, I'd be even more flattered. Like
I
if I,
wouldn't listen. I wouldn't listen to myself talk for 2.5 hours.
uh,
Powering. We've got one more message left. Go ahead and give it to us.
Our last comment is also about the Lanterns teaser trailer. This is from Jashanwa21046. Transmitting in 3, 2, 1.
We don't want a 60-year-old Hal. We need a prime Hal Jordan with a proper trilogy being played by Jensen Ackles, directed by Joseph Krasinski.
Hey, Zeshwan Watu, co-signed 100%. I don't want a freaking 60-year-old Hal either. A proper trilogy. It's interesting you mentioned Jensen Ackles. He was one of the people that I thought of early on that would have been interesting to have been Hal because his character on Supernatural was very Hal-like. So it wasn't a big stretch for that to happen. So I could totally have seen it. My wife would have loved it because she's a big Supernatural fan, that's for sure. But I still think Glenn Powell would have been our best choice.
yeah, I mean, the dude is. We watched Twisters the other night. That's kind of hokey and corny, and he's got that goopy smile in there the whole time. It's like, God, man, he would be
He
such
he
a good Hal Jordan,
he looks the part so well. He just does.
Mm.
I liked him in a movie he did that's on Netflix called Hitman. I really enjoyed Hitman, and I liked Running Man. Now I like the original more, but I liked him in the Running Man. And again, I
I was
saw some very big
surprised.
hell moments. What's that?
I was surprised by how well I liked that movie. And somebody mentioned something to me like, well, you can't dismiss the original. It's not trying to
No,
be better than the original, but when you watch it, you'll understand why it's different than the original, and it is good. And they did it well.
yeah,
So I'll say that.
I like the fact that they gave that character some more motivation as to for why he was doing it, other than the fact that he's badass.
Right.
I thought that was interesting, and I liked him in it, and it showed that he can carry an action film. But yeah, every time I watch anything he's in, I see glimpses of what he could be like as Hal, and it just makes it that much worse.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, we will be back in a few minutes to close the show. Before we do, Power Ring, why don't you tell everybody how they can be a part of the show?
You can become a part of the show by leaving a message up to 1 minute long on our voicemail line. Call us at 406-POD-OA. That's 406-763-6362. You can also email us at podcast@blogofoa.com. We'd love to hear from you.
All right, welcome back. Well, it was good catching up. I know it's been a while in between episodes since the last one, and we've been going back and forth with texts in a while, for a while. But, I couldn't get wait to, and I say this every time when we have a break like this. I always can't wait to get back on the mic with you because I miss our hangout times. I mean,
Definitely.
and this is our only time we get to hang out, right? I mean, other than our text messages throughout the day, but you and I don't get to hang out that much and have a beer or or go get something to eat and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we got to get back on the wagon with Green Lantern Corps. Somebody asked me on social media, I think it was, about our coverage of Absolute Green Lantern, and
Hmm.
I'll just say it here. I don't know whether you've still dropped it, but I dropped it. I dropped it like
I don't-
4 or 5 issues in.
I don't read it. I heard it's good, and I heard some people say it's okay, and I heard some people say it's not that good. I don't.
I've
But
heard it's supposedly it's picked up since then, but to me, it's just too long to get anywhere of any interest.
no, I still read a lot of other titles, and that's not going to be one of them. But I will
Yeah,
stick to the core in the regular Lantern book. So
yeah. For now,
for now,
for now. I'm interested to see how the main Green Lantern series is and how long we have this switch between the two. It's interesting because we keep getting the solicitations, and it always talks about the Kyle story, but nowhere is there any mention about the Hal plot anywhere in any of this. So
yeah, and interesting enough, over in the Lantern Corps, there's a lot going on because you got all the power batteries involved.
some would say too much.
Exactly.
So, and I got to reach back out to Jeremy Adams. We've been trying to schedule, and his schedule's been really busy, so we haven't had time to sit down and set up a date. But we will be having him back again on the show pretty darn soon as well. So, let's make a plan to not let it be as long this time between this episode and the next one.
Okay, deal.
All right. Friends, as always, we appreciate you being here and giving us the time of your day to listen to us ramble about Green Lantern and talk about it. Again, we always hope that it adds to your fan experience. We'll be back soon again with another episode, with episode 272. In the meantime, keep that power ring charged, treat each other well, and make every day your brightest day. All right? Take care, everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks so much for watching this Green Lantern video from the blog of OA. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find even more great Green Lantern videos, reviews, podcasts, and more at our main website, www.blogofoa.com. So until next time, keep your power ring charged and make every day your brightest day.